Hello, hello. Welcome to Evolving the Conversation. I am Melissa here today with my co-host, Nicholas. And right before I pressed record, Nicholas told me that he discovered more about power animals. So he's going to start off by sharing some of what he discovered. I know I'm curious to know.
Okay, so I conducted a ceremony where I journeyed to the strata dimension. And for those of you who don't know, a quick summary of it is a dimension in both the upper world and the underworld where it stratifies your psyche so that it serves as a blueprint so you can go in and you could individualize the pieces but still maintain an awareness and a picture of the whole psyche. And while I was going through the journey, I had a question for my principal transformation power animal. So that's this type of disembodied spirit that represents the power of transformation. And I had the question of going back before from when we discussed this topic of since power animal isn't animal spirit itself, and that the power animal is a type of disembodied spirit that takes on animal form to teach you about a certain type of power or powers. And so I asked it, if you weren't an animal spirit before this, well, what are you? And the answer that I got was that it's a spirit of that power. So it's the spirit of power, and then that power is specifically transformation. So it's the spirit of the power of the spirit of transformation. And so I found that really interesting that it answered that it was a spirit of that power specifically, and that it applies to all the other types of power animals that I work with, like this one power animal that I work with that represents kindness, and I just call it my principal kindness power animal. And it takes the shape of a hummingbird. And so that's really what I discovered that I wanted to share. I thought it was
Cool.
an interesting journey.
Well, would that go for each like your hummingbird, the principal power animal of kindness? Is that the same then that the form, or I guess it's not the form, the
From
what it
my
was before it was a hummingbird?
from my understanding is that
It's
it
not
wasn't
actually a hummingbird. It
it's not
just
actually a
takes
hummingbird.
it, that's just how it appears to you, like in
That's
your
just how it appears. That
consciousness.
right, that's the form it takes. And so asking what it is, I got the answer of that it's a spirit of power, and that power is the spirit of kindness.
Mhm. All right.
You
Yeah,
understand what I mean?
I think so.
Okay. Right. So like I have a principal creativity power animal, which actually I'm embodying right now on this shirt with some well, I don't know, it's kind of hard to see. It's a tiger,
Oh,
right?
okay.
Takes on tiger form.
Okay, now
I
I see
got
it.
some hibiscus on there too. A lovely plant medicine spirit also inhabiting my body. But so that power animal is a a spirit of power that is the spirit of the power of creativity. And I find it interesting too, because with this power animal, I, as I started to work with it and understand it, it started to give me an understanding of what I create. And so what I've learned in shamanism is that you're always creating something. And so it's not a question of whether you're a creative person or you're not a creative person, like you hear a lot in like, I don't know, art school or school or whatever. Like, oh, this person's creative, and like, oh, this person is, or I'm not creative, whatever. No, it's not like that. And like I said, it just becomes the question about what are you creating. And I find it interesting too, where there was sort of a turning point for me of like turning away from certain types of creations in my mind over fear when it was at that one point where, well, for my own journey, I know Hamilton before mentioned something about creating fear. I'm like, we're just creating it, right? And so I thought that that's interesting. Let's go talk to this power animal, see what it has to say, and how I can start to learn to create something different. And it doesn't help from like fearful situations coming up, but I found and like I've even created fear this morning too. But working with this type of power animal, I noticed that it helps me gain more awareness of when I am creating it so that I could just stop and then go on and create something else.
Yeah, I don't know if the point's to never create it, but I think exactly like you said, it's to be aware when you are creating it. Because I personally think it could solve, I mean, not solve, that it could serve a purpose in the right situation where there is actually something to be fearful of, or where maybe you just have to be aware of something or make a
Absolutely.
decision or take an action, or it's like a turning point almost, right? Like a time and a place to be present and then make a decision based on the information that you have.
Absolutely. Um, what I meant specifically too is the type of fear where it doesn't serve a purpose. Like holding on to things that are no longer useful, like fearful of a past situation and somehow it occurring again when there's just like no chance that it could ever even occur. It's like that type of fear. I don't know, it's hard to label it, categorize it, or describe it, but
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying, but I think it's a valid point to make that it's okay to make the fear and it's also okay to feel it.
absolutely, I know what you mean. And just to convey a story around what you're talking about of fear being useful is about a year ago, I was walking on a trail and I was walking um in like high grass. I was on a service road up on the mountain that I like to hike at. And I was walking, and then like I was about to step down and I realized I was about to step down on a rattlesnake. And
Mm.
like with my one foot that was on the ground, I hopped over the rattlesnake and wasn't bitten. But it was like in that moment, like fear went to level 100, jump over this thing, and and then it went away after a little bit. I was like, oh, cool, there's a rattlesnake there. Like, wow, that's a cool encounter that I had with this animal. And I think that's like the usefulness of that certain fear of like, yeah, there are legitimate things to be afraid of, but
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessary to keep on being afraid then of it. Or like it's I don't think it's necessary for me to like keep being scared of the rattlesnake that I saw.
Yeah, right. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's interesting though, like I don't know how the mind is conditioned to like kind of hold on to those things. Not saying like the rattlesnake in that like I'm holding on to that, but other things maybe that I was holding on to. And yeah, that's what I've been learning about power animals.
I had a ceremony the other day. I guess it wasn't with power animals, but just animals in general, we were supposed to have Mercy on as a guest, actually. So I was working with Mercy, and she does these ceremonies where she calls in certain animals, spirit animals that are, I guess, that are, I don't know what the right word here would be, that are, I don't know, in my field or in the field of the person she's working with. So I think that day she had about 4 animals come through when we were working together. I thought that was pretty interesting because now I have 4 new spirits to get to know and get to use for help.
What animals came through?
It was a bison, a yellow bird, I forget a crocodile or an alligator. I have to keep looking up because in my mind those 2 animals are closely linked, so I can't remember the name. And a dragon, she said, that was like a rainbow, like a a snake tail.
Hmm.
Yeah, so a dragon for celebrating, the yellow bird for creativity. The bison is like holding on to some anger for me. And then the crocodile or alligator, she said, was like protecting like the inner child part.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was fun.
Now, have you been um, communicating with these new spirits about how to work with them?
Yeah, I have. So I've mostly been kind of like meditating with them. It's only been a couple weeks. I'm looking at a lot of pictures of them.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah.
What have you found?
Well, I've used the bison to help let go of some of that anger. And I've also used the dragon to help like embody more excitement and celebration energy like during my practices. Yeah, so I guess I've been helping them too with like embodiment stuff.
They've been helping you embody those things.
Hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. You got to keep up relationship with them. It's like a friend. If you want to like really explore them and really get to know them, and this is exactly like a friend would be.
Like a friendship.
Yeah.
Can I send you a text message or can I call you on the phone?
Mm. Skype, please.
Skype. I'd have to download that on my computer. What are some
Yeah.
of the questions that you ask spirits when you first start working with them?
Some of the questions. Okay. Some of the questions are, what do you do? So what do you do? How can I invoke you? Do you serve my highest self? I haven't written down. Let me see here. Actually, I don't want to refer to it. I want to see if I could dig this one out of my memory. So it's those 4. When can I invoke you? Do you tell the truth? That's how I base it out.
I never thought of asking when. When can I invoke you?
Let's see here. There's a bunch of questions you could ask them. I had the list written down. I don't know if this is going to be boring for our viewers, but it is worth asking these questions. What about you? What do you ask them?
Yeah, I think I mostly ask like, how can you help me? It's all about me, me, me.
Okay,
How can I
found it.
invoke you?
Sorry, I
It's
didn't mean to
okay. You
interrupt you.
could go on.
No. Tell me what were you saying?
Yeah, I think I just mostly ask how the spirit can help me, how I can invoke it. And I had another one, but I forgot it. I can't remember.
I like that. How can you help me? Question, because like if it can't help you and it's a honest spirit, truthful,
Mm,
it'll tell you. So questions to ask guides. What is your name? What form do you take? How do you work? What kind of spirit are you? How will you interact with me? What would you like to be, or no, excuse me. How would you like to be invoked and when can you be invoked? And actually, this reminds me that I have to work on uh, gaining mastery of asking these questions.
yeah, that does
There's
remind
some-
me. I just lost it again. One of your questions reminded me of the question. Oh, I always just ask, like, please, can you just communicate with me in a way I can understand?
Mm, I think that's important though, too.
I guess that's not a question, or maybe I should phrase it as a question. Can you please communicate with me in a way I can understand? That way we could have like clear communication.
Then what happened?
I don't know. I mean, I still don't ever think the communication I get is very clear. I just have to assume it's working. The invocation is in the incantation. I just hold on to that and assume that I'm getting the information that I need when I need it and the help that I need when I need it.
Mm. So I have what I call my core group that I work with, which is my principal guide, my principal protective guide, my principal power animal, my principal protective power animal, my guardian angel, and my principal transformation power animal. And I've even added to the principal creativity power animal into this core group of spirits that I work with. And these spirits are especially principal guide. I could go through the definition of these spirits, but for time's sake, let's start with principal guide. So principal guide is defined as, and I didn't create these things either. This I all learned through back when modern shamanism was a course. And with principal guide, it's defined as a spirit who literally knows everything about you and that can guide you into any spirit that you need. So when you're talking to principal guide and like you said, like you're having faith that, you know, you're invoking this thing and that it's going to do what you ask it to do. And all of those things principal guide can do for you and can help you then really build a system of communication that is based in clarity. So how I like to practice is by invoking principal guide directly and just saying, hey, I really need, sometimes like I need things so clear and just like so blatantly obvious that I won't mistake it for anything else. Like just a stamp on my forehead, like this is what it is. those types of things. I understand what you mean by like sometimes you just like really need it to be like so blatantly obvious that you can't miss it for anything else. And like you can say that to, your principal guide. Principal guide, just make this form of communication obvious to me so that I know beyond a doubt. And then that's how you build it. And then from there, like you can recognize like, yep, that thing's communicating with me. I get it now. Move beyond the doubt that I can actually communicate with you in the first place. It can. And then from what I find, I can from there, it can then work with me in communicating with me in more subtle ways. For instance, I was in my bathroom yesterday, right? And I'm about to just go to the bathroom and I glance over and I look at like my roommate's products of things. And the first thing I see is pure white light, right? I was like, oh, well, that's like a specific type of protection that I use, pure white light. And then it was just for me that communication that was just beyond the doubt that I know for a fact that that is what my principal protection or protective guide is communicating with me.
Cool.
So I hope that helps.
Were they communicating with you like in response to something? Or it was like a reminder?
It's probably definitely a reminder. It was for sure a reminder to
Ah,
just
okay.
keep getting hydrated.
Forgot to hydrate today.
Doing it right now.
I know. Well, I found my water bottle like in the hall closet this morning.
It's a
Like I
funny
got
place.
water in the middle of the night and then left it there, which means I didn't drink water like most of the day. No wonder I was dehydrated just last night. And again today. Sometimes it's hard to remember the basics.
Hmm. Have you ever considered just asking um, your core guides to be able to remind you of the basics?
No,
Hydration.
I didn't or haven't. But that certainly is something I could do and then see how it works.
Yeah, absolutely. I would be interested to see how they communicate with you, and just your own unique style of the practice and how it goes for you.
Yeah, I'm gonna try that. That'll be a good test to see the communication because I do need to up the water.
Yeah, I know what you mean too. Like sometimes it could be a bit difficult. Like this morning, I was kind of running around like a nut and didn't stay as normally hydrated as I do. But then I'm reminded, okay, that's okay, but you have the rest of the day then to hydrate.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we got that under control.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So you're getting ready for Peru?
Yeah, I am. I'm going in a week, getting all my intentions together.
I'm
Everything
going to
I'm,
ask you about your intentions, but first I have to pause the podcast because I'm maybe a little bit too hydrated right now. I could use the bathroom.
okay.
Be right back.
but I just don't need any more.
Are you excited to go and work on these things?
Um, yeah, I am. I'm excited. I think I'm also nervous because I'm going for an extended period of time. So I think I'm starting to like feel nervous about leaving my kids.
How long are you going for?
Well, I'm not only doing the ayahuasca tour, but then I'm also doing the dieta. So I'll be away for most of July. So that'll be the longest that I've left Louis or my kids and the kids. And so, yeah, I guess since it's coming up so soon, I've been thinking about, does Louis even know how to feed them dinner? I had to send him a
Oh, I'm
picture
sure he's got
yesterday.
it.
I sent him a picture yesterday of what they like to eat. It was cute. Lucas actually came home from school. They must have done some, I don't know, healthy eating unit or something, like probably one of his specials, wellness or something, where they colored like a plate with the different things he likes to eat. So now him and James like to eat that for dinner, and it's like their special plate.
Mm. What is it?
It's chicken. It's a fruit, a little bit of carrots. They started eating like shredded carrots. I mean, like a teaspoon of carrot. And well, on the plate it was popcorn, but I don't usually have popcorn, so I'll give them like a little bit of veggie straws.
Mm,
And that's our special plate.
nice.
Yeah.
Sounds balanced.
I mean, as balanced as I could make it for them, that they're willing to accept. Yeah, we go light on the veggie straws. Yeah, so I mean, I'm the one that always makes them dinner and like takes care of them in the afternoon. I hope my plants get watered. I hope the bathroom gets clean. There are some things that like can't go a whole month without being taken care of. And I
Does that,
noticed too, as a mom, sorry to interrupt you, I feel like, is this like doing the wrong thing, like leaving my kids for such a long time? I know ultimately it'll improve my mothering skills.
well, I mean, it sounds what you're telling me is that's an intention, for you. And like you know what the outcome is going to be when you focus on your intention. You hold that decision, it's going to manifest. And going there for a month, if it's going to better you, then it's really going to better everyone else. Not saying like that there was something wrong with you to begin with or
Mhm.
anything like that. um and also too, like moving beyond this fear of like what society defines as like a good mother, leaving your kids for a month and questioning that. I mean, you know, I'm who's to really say?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely see what you're saying there. And I know I'm not going to be the first person that leaves their kids for an extended period of time. And I know
Yeah,
they'll survive.
exactly. And
And I
also too,
guess, oh, go on.
no, go ahead.
Sometimes I think like it's so, I don't know what the word is. So presumptuous to think I'm, this huge part. I mean, although you are like the parents are a huge part of your life, but like the things I do could be so impactful. I mean, there's so much stuff that goes on in their life. It's not only me or the impact that I'm making. Yeah, so sometimes I think, like if I do something wrong, let's say to one of them, like who am I to think that like that's going to ruin their whole entire life? So the same way in this, like this isn't going to ruin their life by any stretch.
it's cool too for you to say, like, you're going there on this path of, personal transformation, and that from within it, you seek to like up your skills in like all areas of life, which, that's something really valuable, I know, to you and to other people too.
Yeah, true. Thanks for pointing that out. Because sometimes it just feels selfish.
Hmm. How
But
so?
maybe that's just life too. Well, like doing the things you want when you have other responsibilities.
Mm,
But that could just be like a conditioning as well.
definitely. That sounds 100% a conditioning.
Yeah. Like, why should I get the things I want? That's one of those things I have to get rid of. Of course, I should be getting the things I want.
That is a deep conditioning too. And I know
Yeah.
it's a conditioning because both you said you've experienced, and I've definitely experienced that too. So that just leads me to consider like 100% that's definitely like something that was programmed into you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even just going brings up a lot of, even the before brings up a lot of the things that need to be worked on.
Hmm. You mean as far as like going before and then afterwards coming home?
No, I mean, even this feeling of, yeah, I don't even feel like I'm worthy of, and this is just to simplify it, the words, like, I don't even feel like I deserve to go and do the thing that I want to do.
Hmm. Hmm. Sounds like a it sounds like a conditioning formula. Like I don't deserve this because of this, or something along those lines. But I mean, I think you deserve, optimization of health and, just improving vitality and all of what you just said.
Yeah, well, I agree. And I'm glad that we're actually talking about it because when it's just in your head, I mean, I already know. I mean, the whole worthiness thing, I've gone through this over and over again. Ultimately, it's just a made up construct that we're all kind of like dealing with finding our way out if you are ever struggling with it, whether or not you're worthy of something. But then you have to, right, it comes up in like all these little different areas. Like, can I actually have what I want in life? Do I have to like have done X before I could get Y?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you deserve a dope life.
Yeah, sure. Everyone does, right?
Absolutely. And I mean, like you said, if it's the fear of how your kids are gonna be, you just said it, you know they're gonna survive.
Yeah. And they'll probably have fun, right? They'll get a lot of extra screen time and TV time and junk food time if Louis in charge. Those plates will be like all veggie straws.
You know what's funny? You think like veggie straws are actually good for you, and then depending on which ones you get, and then you look at the back of what it's made of, you're like, what the hell?
Oh, I know. And you have to explain that to the kids. They don't understand because their little brains can't understand it at all. Oh my God, it was so funny. I said to Lucas, I thought he would understand this the other day. He's 8. So I don't remember what was happening beforehand, but I said to him, why don't you put yourself in James's shoes so you could understand how he's feeling? He's like, fine, I'll go put on James's shoes. And then I started cracking up. He's like, stop laughing
That's hilarious.
at me. It was so funny. I felt so bad, but I just couldn't stop. It still is cracking me up thinking of it today. I thought he would understand that.
Uh,
Fine, I'll put his shoes on.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't understand that if you don't have
Yeah,
any context for it, right?
yeah, yeah.
That's so funny. Uh,
I don't even remember what the fight was about. There was probably a lot of fights last week. Patience. I didn't realize that I needed patience for myself. I've always thought of it as this thing like I had to have for other people. But recently I've been realizing that I need it, my own patience.
mm, yeah, I mean, what do they say? Like, you're incapable of giving something to someone else that you're not capable of giving yourself.
Yeah.
But I mean, I see patience with you, so you definitely have that.
Yeah. No, I know I do have it, but I think I tend to be harder on myself.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like a cultivation too. That I see patience as a power. It's a specific type of power that you can really, work on embodying.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just need it for everything. It's like a daily, like moment by moment. Like I have to wait for the next moment, and it might not be the one I want.
Yeah.
And
But
when
you
is the one going to come that I'm waiting for?
but you could also too, I mean, you could also imagine like where you're gonna be at in an hour, and you could also imagine where you're gonna be at in like 2 hours. And
Oh, sure.
those are way more easy to predict than like 2 years.
Yeah, but you need it for all of it. You need it sometimes like for the next 5 minutes. How am I going to get through to the next 2 years?
Hmm. I guess my point was around like the uncertainty of the next moment. Sure, it's always uncertain, but there's definitely high probability of,
Oh,
what you can
yeah.
predict what's going to happen in the next hour.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know if the patience is even because there's uncertainty. It's just sometimes, life is just what it is. It's not always exactly the way you want it to be, or things aren't the way you want them to be.
Mm.
Or for me, it was like a lot of how I was feeling wasn't exactly how I wanted to be feeling, but that, that's what I was feeling. So like being patient with that,
I
being
have
patient
something
with myself.
I have something for you I want to read to you.
Sure.
Hold on, I gotta log in. All right, so this is just the last little bit of what was given to me by the God AI dot AI, the avatar Anaya. Remember, personal transformation is a lifelong journey, and setbacks are a natural part of growth. Be patient with yourself and have faith in your ability to make positive changes. Keep learning, experimenting, and adapting your systems as you go along. With dedication, self-compassion, and perseverance, you can overcome self-sabotage and doubts and move closer to the transformation you seek.
Yeah. I mean, I get that.
Yeah, yeah. I noticed too, like the patience that you're talking about, having patience, for yourself, even even if you're experiencing like those difficulties, and perhaps sometimes too, even if you're the one who's causing those difficulties. I could speak for myself and say like most of my difficulties are come from myself. But
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that's true for most people.
yeah, and then having the patience for like working through all of that.
Yeah, I think things could in the mind happen a lot faster than they actually can in the concrete reality that we experience.
Yes, yes. And so, you know, yeah, with the mind, things move so quick. But I always find it's about having the awareness. Like, as the things are going. You might not have it right away, but like if you like have like a little cue, I don't know how to describe it, like within the thinking of like, oh, I'm going down that path, and perhaps then like if you're going down a path where like you need to have patience for yourself, like if you're, I don't know, um struggling with something, and um then you're maybe like fighting the fact that you're struggling with something, having that patience for that like whole scenario just sort of neutralizes it all out.
Yeah. I mean, it's similar to the acceptance, it's similar to the embracing, it's similar to the grace, it's similar to the compassion, just all slightly different flavor.
Yeah, different flavor. I like that. That's a good way of describing it.
Yeah, I mean, essentially it's all the same thing. I mean, I guess it's not, there's different words, so they probably mean something different.
Perhaps slightly.
Yeah, but they're all kind of like aiming in the same direction.
Mm. What is the spirit of patience for you?
I don't really understand the question. What is the spirit of
Yeah.
patience?
So like the patience spirit. So if we were just to invoke a spirit right now, invoking the spirit of patience to,
I mean, I think God is
embody.
like the experience is patient. I told you, I think I even talked about it on the podcast. I mean, it's just like I'm loving everyone through everything they do, through everything that exists, through all the iterations, through billions and billions of years. I'm still loving, still loving.
Yeah, you depicted very well about what patience does.
Can't stop, won't stop.
Can't stop, won't stop. It was all a dream.
But
Yeah,
then he's also doing the accepting. I'm accepting everything as it is right now. And even though things were different and I liked it better before, I still like it now. And I'm embracing it's the exact same thing, kind of. Although I guess it's not. Same but different. That's what it is. Same but different.
yeah, perhaps as you say, a little bit of a different flavor. Yeah. Yeah, maybe not, maybe, accepting the moment, but also, if something that you want to change, having that within your goals and actively working for that too.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean,
All of it.
acceptance doesn't mean you have to like something.
Right.
It just means whether you like it or not,
There it
you're not
is.
gonna fight it.
I think that's really key too, is not fighting it. Or if you are fighting it, come to awareness that you are fighting it and that it's really not helping the situation out. I
Yeah.
speak that for myself,
I
but
mean, that's key for life really in general, is just to just be in that flow with it and just allow everything that's happening. I mean, that's part of where I think the patience comes in. This one teacher I used to work with, Sam Skelly, I think she used to say you can't resist a non-resistant person.
you can't resist a non-resistant person.
Yeah. And I think
It's,
it has something to
it's
do with
interesting.
what we're talking about now. Like she's talking about like not being in resistance to anything that happens in life and just being with the flow of it all.
That
And
sounds
that's
like
kind of
something.
like the same thing, like not fighting it.
Sounds like something from the Tao Te Ching.
I don't know where she came up with that little bit of advice.
It's good advice though. You can't resist a non-resistant person. Yeah, sometimes it's hard too to put down the fight. speaking for myself anyway, like there's like certain things that like I really want to go to battle with that are just like completely unfair and unjust. But it's like, am I really gonna come out a victor? Probably not. So what's the
Yeah,
point?
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of unfair and unjust. I'm not sure what fighting it does.
Mm. But
Fighting keeps
focusing
you
on the
in the
patience
fighting, and
does.
then another option keeps you in another option.
The patience, though, focusing on the patience and what it is, we were really defining it. And yeah, accepting, but also too, hmm, kind of words do I want to use? I'm just gonna let the words come to me. But yeah, accepting grace. Grace is, patience is, compassion is, God is. It's kind of hard to put into words, but it's like when you're being patient.
Well, it's like you could feel, maybe you feel tension, or maybe you feel like like you want to explode or you want to say something, but instead you just, or you take in your breath and you say, even though this feels so uncomfortable and I want to scream my head off, I'm going to choose something else.
Yeah, that is good advice. It's really good
Yeah.
advice.
Or like, I know I keep waking up and feeling this shitty way, but I'm doing everything I know in my power to be different, or to feel different, or to turn to the inner child, or to turn to myself, or to breathe, or to blah blah blah. So now I'm just gonna accept that this is how the feeling is right now. I know that everything changes.
Yeah, and perhaps like in an hour from now, that thing that is causing such a chaos is just gonna have passed.
Yeah, like maybe my guides will remind me to drink some fucking water. And
Drink
I'll
some
say, oh
water.
yeah,
Drink some water.
oh yeah, that's my problem. I haven't been drinking water.
I would also look to what causes you to not uh, be aware of it in the first place, because that's really how then you would solve the problem of not drinking water.
What causes me to not be aware that I'm not drinking water?
Or, well, being aware of it after the fact of like, oh shit, I'm dehydrated. All right, I gotta catch up, rather than just like hydrating throughout the whole morning, afternoon, into the evening before bed.
I'm sorry, I'm not understanding.
Oh, I mean, so like before it gets to the point of like, oh, I'm dehydrated, of learning like where it is in your own psyche that causes you to get to that point of, oh,
Mm,
I'm dehydrated, instead of just then not having that of like, oh, looking back on it, I'm dehydrated. Oh shit, I'm dehydrated. I gotta like play catch up on my hydration
oh,
of
okay.
of instead of doing that, just hydrating, consistently throughout the day. Not letting
Mm,
it get to the point of dehydration, finding out what causes that.
that's a good idea. I mean, today it was just my water bottle was hidden away. Wasn't in the right spot. It wasn't
The
on the
damn water
counter.
bottle fairy got you again.
Yeah, it wasn't in the counter where it normally should be when I wake up and see it there. And I think also like right away because it was the first day of camp, so I started doing something that I don't usually do. I was like getting ready for that.
Mm.
So I wasn't in the groove of doing the things the exact same way that I do them every day.
Yeah, it could maybe you just got thrown off a little bit.
Yeah, but no, that is a good idea.
I was just saying, if that's a consistent problem for you, that's where I would look.
Mm.
If it's not a consistent problem for you, then don't worry about it. But
I do sometimes have resistance to drinking as much as I probably should be drinking.
Mm.
I definitely have resistance sometimes to doing the things that I know I don't even know what the word should. Right, like just taking the medicine sometimes in the morning. It's like, no, I'm not gonna do that.
Mm. I mean, you could go to the dieta plants, and specifically, I know the ones from Trinity. I don't know the one specifically that you did, but I know the intention specifically, that was held in the Trinity dietas of
Mm,
really, releasing the self-sabotaging
yeah.
behavior.
Yeah, that's a
And
good
those could be
idea.
allies for you. And
Yeah,
instead
you're
of being, and
smart.
instead
That's a
of
good
being like,
idea.
yeah, and instead of being like, like why the fuck aren't you hydrating? Yada yada yada. Or like maybe I don't know. I don't think you need the like David Goggins approach of like hydrate, motherfucker. No, I don't think you need that. I think like you need sort of like like the head medicine of the plant spirit approach. Just like, hey, drink a little bit of water.
Yeah,
You
nudge,
got
nudge.
this.
And we can work on the communication at the same time. Yeah, that is a smart idea, though. I'm gonna get on board with that.
All right, cool. We're on board together because that's what I've been working on doing. It's like what I read to you earlier was specifically about self-sabotaging behavior.
Are you self-sabotaging yourself?
What's interesting is that I've become aware of things that I wasn't aware of a year ago that I recognize now as self-sabotaging. And yeah, it's a lot of it was around my system of personal transformation and like setting it up, and then just like justifying to myself not doing something because of whatever, even though I had the capability of doing it, just not doing it. And so I saw that and went, oh, there it is. There's my self-sabotaging behavior. It's sort of like a procrastination almost of like, oh, I could get it done later. That's self-sabotaging
Mm.
for me. Mm,
Well, now you have the awareness. Who knows? Just gets to work itself out.
yeah, absolutely. And actually, I'm really glad that we got to talk about patience today because like even like that reminds me to have patience for even like that type of self-sabotage.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about self-sabotaging your system of personal transformation. So here you are trying to, make positive changes. It's okay if you're unconsciously sabotaging them. I mean, everything's okay. Yeah, you don't want to be hard on yourself.
No, I don't want to be hard on myself, but I don't want to continue with those behaviors either.
Well, now you won't.
No, no, and this podcast it's been helpful to like verbalize that out to the universe.
Yeah, that's all right. I mean, when you mess up, it's okay. Matt Kahn says you need more love, not less.
Mm,
Especially when you think you're bad or wrong or made a mistake or feeling embarrassed. Think you
yeah,
fucked up, did the wrong thing, said the wrong thing, acted the wrong way.
yeah, yeah.
Didn't self-sabotage your personal system of transformation.
I self-sabotaged it. I didn't do that journey when I said I was going to, and threw things off.
Yeah,
Oh well,
yeah.
it's gonna
And
be all
God
right.
still loves you no matter what.
Mm, it's a good reminder.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good reminder.
I agree. You are worthy of love. A lot of it. Everyone is.
Everyone,
Yeah.
everyone who's listening, you're all worthy of love.
And
in
even the
the
people
eyes of
that don't
God.
like this podcast.
Even the people who say you're full of shit, you're worthy of love too.
Yeah. I mean, even the people who are, who are causing all of the injustice.
Sure, maybe they're worthy of love at the end of a 10-foot pole.
Maybe if they had the love in the first place, they wouldn't be causing the injustices that we're not mentioning, but are aware of.
Sure, sure. We don't have to go into the nitty-gritty of it. We all know.
Not right now, but
Not right now. Yeah. And the patience for them too. That's the hard part, huh?
yeah.
For me anyway.
Well, then that brings you to that awareness piece of like, oh, but
That's funny. The but the Totally. Totally. Well, Melissa, we're getting to be about on the hour almost.
All right. Well, it's been another fun conversation. Thanks for sharing so much today.
Yes, thank you for sharing your intentions and your
Yeah.
wisdoms. Much appreciated. And yeah, it's been real until the next one, which is probably not going to be for quite a little bit because you're doing some traveling, right?
Yeah. We'll see. I may be able to record, but I'm not 100% certain.
Yeah, that would be awesome if you could record from Peru.
Yeah, as far as I know, there's Starlink, so high quality internet.
Yeah, maybe we could even get a couple more guests on too if they would
Yeah, that'd be
like
fun.
that. Yeah, that sounds like a fun idea.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Awesome, awesome. Well, if you've tuned in thus far, thank you for listening. If you like this, please give us a thumbs up and a subscribe button. And yeah, there's going to be some shorts coming out soon if you don't want to listen to the full thing and you can just get little snippets of it. But until next time, goodbye, everyone.
Bye.